Welcome on into the Wise Guys. This is episode 118. Today, we will be discussing both NFL and NBA for to me, a very exciting episode because I've been seeing a lot of Dwyane Wade disrespect over the last couple of days, and I feel like people just totally forget how good he is. We're going to talk about him with a fellow Heat fan. Front office members thinking Jaylen Brown is the third, fourth, or fifth best player on a contender. Okay. The top 5 NBA players 7 years from now in 2030, some NBA predictions. And then we're going to talk about Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills. Do they make the same mistake as the Atlanta Falcons? And then last but not least, should the Patriots tank for Caleb Williams? I'm stuck with 2 Patriot fans, unfortunately. And both of them think they're going to win 9 games this year. But God, I was here for the last episode. I didn't hear how many games exactly each of you two had them winning, but I do know they're not winning 9 games this year. That's something I'm pretty confident in. How are we feeling right now? Let's just save that part.
I'm doing good. I'm going to see Oppenheimer tonight. John was telling me before the show that he saw the movie first time in a long time. I know Justin went to go see it. Justin had the full experience, the Barbieheimer experience on Sunday. I'm very jealous because I really want to go see Barbie too, but nobody will go with me. But I'm going to see Oppenheimer tonight. I'm excited for that. I actually might go see after the show either Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1 or Barbie, depending on how I feel. Might swipe it in the previews.
Sneak into Barbie, but I can't lie. Going to the movies had me traumatized. I hate paranormal stuff, and they played the trailer for this new Exorcist movie, and I was traumatized.
Justin got scared.
Yeah, I was traumatized for the whole night.
I don't mess with the bad juju either, Justin. Trust me.
Yeah, I saw that trailer, and while the screen's this way, my face is like this the whole time.
The power of Christ compels you.
How was the Barbie movie? I haven't seen anything.
Barbie was actually very, very good. I'm not gonna lie, it was very funny. Some people find it a little controversial because they come at men a little bit, but if you're sensitive, then it'll bother you. But
I haven't seen it yet. It's a comedy movie. I want to see it. Like, who doesn't like Margot Robbie? Who doesn't like Ryan Gosling? Like, these are, it's funny.
I watched Oppenheimer because I am a nerd of Fallout 4 and Fallout 3. It was one of Brandon. If you love movies, the guy what's his name? Christopher Nolan?
His name? Director. He's one of the greatest directors of all time.
The directing was fantastic, but I thought the acting was just as good. I've been watching a little bit of Mad Men from 2005, like 17 years later. I'm a little bit older now, and I was 2 years old when it came out. And I feel like it's very similar between the two, where the acting is so real that it really makes you. I was sweating in the movie theater. I thought I had to walk out. That's how intense it was.
It's a stacked roster of actors. I mean, just from top to bottom, just A-list people. And John, I don't know if you know this, but none of that what you saw was CGI.
Yeah, it was all on IMAX, right?
No. CGI is so they use like green screens and shit like that, computer generated. All the explosions and stuff you saw like that was 100% real, practical effects, real stuff.
Obviously,
crazy.
Obviously, they didn't use bombs, but they.
But Nolan is notorious. Like if you Justin, you've seen The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
When they blow up that hospital, they blew up a real hospital. They didn't. It wasn't a fake, green screen or anything. They blew up a legit hospital. Christopher Nolan don't fuck around, bro.
But no, Oppenheimer was a fantastic movie. Like you said, the acting was great. Robert Downey Jr., great performance. So people are so used to seeing him as Iron Man, seeing him in a different light. His other movies like Sherlock Holmes are fantastic. So I wasn't surprised to see him do this.
Yeah, by far one of the best movies. I've rated a 9 out of 10, Justin.
Justin, what do you give?
What Oppenheimer? I'd give it a 10 out of 10.
10? Whoa, chill.
What's the difference between 9 and 10?
A lot. 10 out of 10 is perfect. That's the best movie of all time.
You're actually right. It's a real story, and it's also like there's so much meaning behind it too. Because Oppenheimer passed during the peak of the Cold War. And that was when people didn't think it was going to stop the arms race for more advancement in missile launching or just missiles and the nuclear, the race of nuclear power. And so they highlight in the film after Hiroshima, Nagasaki. I'm sorry, I'm going Mr. American history here.
I love this.
How he obviously toward the second half of the show. I'm not going to spoil anything, Brand. Yeah. In the second half, he doesn't want this arms race to go on, though he was the first one to create the atomic bomb. and then he gets maligned for it. And the last 10 years of his life, he lives with this insane grief that kills him, because I think over 200,000 people passed away in Japan. And so by 1967, he passes away, maybe thinking that he basically maybe started the first chain reaction of humankind, because you're basically banning them not blowing up the world entirely in a chain reaction. And there's a psychological element too that's oftentimes you don't really think about it. And so there's different points where he has these hallucinations of the effects after the bombing. It's really amazing. As someone that grew up playing so much Fallout 4, and so I learned a little bit about the bombings and stuff like that. It's honestly, it's one of the best. Justin, you're kind of convincing me that maybe a 9 out of 10 is not right. Maybe it's a 9.5, but I think 10 out of 10 is something that's got to make me cry or something like that. It's got to actually make me feel certain. This was emotional, but didn't make me cry.
But you have in that movie, I wasn't crying, but I felt it. You know what I mean? I was nervous. I even though I knew what was going to happen because it's history, but I just was worried. I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. I felt like I was just naive to it all, and it made me feel like I didn't know anything, and I was just learning about the whole.
All I say is that 10 out of 10 is reserved for, I think, the best movie you've ever seen in your life. So that's why I was a little. Okay. I'll send you guys my score. My 10 out of 10 movie is The Dark Knight. It always will be.
Well, you know what? When you see all the awards that I believe this movie's going to win.
Well, okay. I don't know. The awards. I mean, we all know it's a popularity contest. Don't bring in the Oscars and all that bullshit in. It's all popularity. The best stuff doesn't win. No Way Home should have been nominated and should have won that year. All right. We all know it's a bullshit popularity contest.
Who won that year?
I don't remember, but it wasn't that.
Shout out Rudy Gonzalez. Want to say what's up? Like up the stream. Like up the stream if you're in here. Oh, thank you, Rudy. And we're going to start things off now with sports, because if you didn't know, this is kind of where we talk about sports, not movies. So Jaylen Brown got a 5-year, $304 million contract extension.
Yes, sir.
And there's been, to me, every reaction. There's Celtic fans looking to defend this man. There's me understanding he just got outplayed by Caleb Martin in the conference finals, who's making $7 million a year. And there's apparently front office members on every day on Twitter. You see something new, and you never really know what it's going to be. Yesterday, it was that actually the third best player, the fourth best player to some front office executives. Justin, what do you think about that? Future New York Knick, Jaylen Brown.
He won't be a future New York Knick. I'll tell you that much. When we're comparing stats, and this isn't to be a Knick fan here. This has nothing to do with that. Julius Randle, and I've said it before, Julius Randle and Jaylen Brown aren't that far apart. And I'll die on that hill. I really don't believe they're that far apart. You wanna compare playoff numbers, then fine, that's the major difference. But outside of that, they're really not that far apart. Making $304 million, we sit here week after week whenever we have a Celtic debate wondering, is Jaylen Brown going to be traded? Where does he belong? Is he enough? Is he the guy? Is he not the guy? There's too many questions surrounding a guy that you're handing this major contract to. So clearly, most of the media, and I think the Celtics are, now that they show that they believe in him, but before then, we were wondering if he is even a better fit for the Celtics as he is. Or maybe should they deal him and get somebody else to pair up with Jason Tatum, and now you get Porzingis. Maybe that'll be the better fit. So I don't know if this is even worth it. I feel like this is a guy that, for the longest, has had a question mark that we didn't know. Is he a Batman or is he a Robin? And you're definitely paying him for Batman results. So I don't see him as a Batman. I don't think the contract is worth it. I think that's too big of a deal for a guy of his caliber. Unless he proves me wrong, I don't see this being a win for the Celtics.
So first off, I want to attack that Julius Randle point, because you're not going to get away with that. You're fucking crazy. You think Jaylen Brown to me is still a top 20 player. Julius Randle, he wasn't in my top 30. I know that. I don't know what. Yeah, maybe. Okay.
I'm not going to debate Julius Randle.
Justin, time out. You had your moment, all right? Julius Randle's not a scrub. He's a very good NBA player. Jaylen Brown, I believe he's
John doesn't even have him in the top 50.
hold on. I still believe Jaylen Brown is a star in this league. He's obviously, like you said, he has shown us that he's no Batman. He is a Robin. And that's okay. That's okay. But he's a very good Robin.
$304 million. You pay Robin
right, so
$304 million?
let's get into the money conversation, because I won't disagree with you on that. I tweeted out when this news broke. I was like, cheers to Jaylen Brown, right? You get that bag. But these contracts are goddamn ridiculous. And I know that, don't count another person's money and stuff, but listen, it's out there in the public. And I come from a different, maybe this is more just of a true realness of a world view, but I just look at it and I understand supply and demand. So I get why, athletes make an insane amount of money, but like I look at teachers and doctors and firefighters and cops and stuff like that, and they get basically, shit money compared to these 304. So that's where I go into. But if you want to talk, because when you really talk, is he worth no, $60 million for playing basketball is ridiculous in my opinion. But that's how the way I would answer that, Justin, is there's nothing we can do about it, because that's just the way the market goes in sports right now. It's whoever this, name value person is that's next up is going to reset the market usually, even though they're not a name that should reset. Like the people who reset markets should not be, no offense, but like a Dak Prescott or a Jaylen Brown. It should be guys like a LeBron James, a Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. Those guys should reset the market, not even like back end top 10 quarterbacks or players in the NBA or stuff like that. So that's where I come from. No, is he worth it? No, but that's how the market goes, and there's nothing you can do about it. In a couple of years, another top 20 player, barely top 20 player is going to get insane amount of money, and we're going to sit here and say the same exact thing. That's just how it goes.
John, real quick, this is a move that I see desperate franchises like a Hornets would make, or a Hawks would make, just out of desperation to sign somebody to a major deal like that. I don't see this as I honestly, like I said, I don't think it's a smart move. Now, yeah, I think the pairing of a Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis made with Brogdon that can elevate your game, and you can go back to the NBA Finals and contend. They'll always contend as long as they have that star power. But long term, I don't see this relationship getting better, because I feel like Jaylen Brown, the writing has been on the wall with him even questioning his position in Boston. So I feel like it's just staying because he got a bag. I guess you don't blame a guy. But a year ago and 2 years ago, we're wondering if he even stays in Boston because of comments that he made. So it just doesn't feel like he belongs there. I feel like he's a star that would have gone to a team starved of playoffs for years. So, and he would have probably gotten a team to a 7 or 6 seed. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm sticking by my stance. I don't think Jaylen Brown is a $304 million guy. Obviously, that's just how the contracts are going in the NBA. But at some point, this is really gonna F with the Celtics. At one point, it will.
Wow. So I'm not a big Jaylen Brown fan by any stretch. But what I will tell you is that a decade ago, this would be a $20 million contract. Because the NBA cap has nearly tripled in the last decade, and there's a new TV deal coming in, this is a normal contract. In 2017, Mike Conley, or 2016 was the offseason where he became the richest NBA player in his contract total. He wasn't a top 10 player, and in 2.5 years, that became a normal contract. 90-something. I think it was a little bit over $100 million. Not a record-breaking deal when more players were up for deals and the cap continued to increase. Now, that season, the cap increased by 32% in one calendar year, which is why we saw many teams, minus the Warriors, make terrible moves. The Celtics had to extend Jaylen Brown because in a year, this guy's an unrestricted free agent. And if you know anything about teams that tend to undervalue stars and they take their free agency for granted, they walk for nothing. And then the real mockery is when you get nothing in return for a player, and he's the second most important player in a team that went to the finals a year ago. That being said,
so you trade him.
You trade him. And I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum saw their peak. If you look at the Celtics, and a year ago they went to the finals. In 2.5 years, they're going to be paying 70% of their payroll to two players in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who in the playoffs have not been good enough. They just get outplayed by Caleb Martin, Jimmy Butler on one leg, and Bam Adebayo. That's embarrassing. And now Jaylen Brown's gained $60 million a year. To me, when you make 35% of the cap, that makes you an elite player. And I don't think Jaylen Brown is an elite player. I think he's a really good one. And when I look at him and Jason Tatum together, it's the most redundant duo in the league. You don't have an elite playmaker in this roster, and now you just trade the best passer, Marcus Smart. I've been watching the Eastern Conference Finals and their entire playoff run over again. His passing was what made Jaylen Brown, in many points, get going as a role man. You take him out the picture, and the two best passers on this team are Robert Williams and Jason Tatum. That's abysmal. So you look at what Jaylen Brown struggles with. It's tunnel vision, concentration turnovers, streaky three-point shooting, very volatile and erratic decision-making, especially against team defenses like the Miami Heat. And I don't think this is a prisoner in the moment thing, because Jaylen Brown for 7 years has struggled with tunnel vision. And year 8, that's not going to change a whole lot. He may fix the concentration turnovers where he goes between his legs and just erratically loses the ball and dribbles it off his foot. But I don't think against elite defenses like the Toronto Raptors in the bubble, the Miami Heat in 2022 or in 2023, that this is a guy who can complement Jason Tatum properly, because he's not an elite shooter, but he's more importantly not an elite distributor. And when you look at the best duos, they basically cover every single box. The Celtics team has a clear void in passing. And when you look at the depth chart, let me see if I can pull up a graphic for you guys. Oh, I can. I want you to tell me, of the players on this graphic, how many of them you trust in the NBA playoffs. Just give me 15 seconds as I stall here, because I didn't prepare as a
No. You're right. I do like Justin's. I mean, the obvious move would have been to trade Jaylen Brown, but they obviously decided not to. And the perfect move would have been trading him for Damian Lillard.
Okay.
But yeah, let's see this. Listy.
How many guys you trust in the playoffs?
How many guys do I trust in the playoffs?
To play and not be injured the entire time.
Al Horford, I trust. Tatum.
You see that clock next to Al?
Yeah.
Means he's old as shit.
I understand that, but he even last year he was still locking dudes up. Brogdon, I see the Band-Aid next to him. That's a major question mark. Derek White played pretty good.
Oh, he was awesome. Incredible.
Jaylen Brown, obviously, he had his fault. So right now you're not going to say you trust him after his performance.
Well, I'm saying guys you can confidently and capably play in the playoffs. So he obviously is one of the players. I think there's 4 guys: Tatum, Brown, White, and Porzingis has had health issues his entire career. Time Lord has played 35 games. Brogdon's elbow fell off, and the Clippers said they didn't want him because of the injuries. I think the Clippers are an example of what the Celtics are becoming. They've struggled with injuries, a lack of rim pressure, and a lack of playmaking from the point guard position that in the playoffs has come back to bite them every single year.
Yeah.
Look at Tatum and Brown. The ceiling with this duo is the floor of this duo is the second round of the playoffs, but they so often struggle to get over the top because the duo does not work and they're better off alone against elite defenses. In the regular season, they're talented enough to just blow through the Eastern Conference, but when it's time to play Miami and you've got Victor Oladipo on your grill, I don't think they have the type of interior presence a team like Milwaukee, Denver, the Mavericks with Luka have, because Luka can take over as a post scorer too. The Celtics just lack that force, and that's why earlier in the year I said they're not beating the Bucks in the playoff series, because the Bucks, if they got Chris Middleton, have the interior force and the skill on the outside. That's the perfect balance, and you had to extend Jaylen Brown to me, but I do think the Celtics' peak was in 2022.
I mean, in terms of the Clippers comparison, I see what you're saying. The only difference, obviously, is that the two star guys are much younger than the Clippers guys. They haven't really been injury prone. But yeah, listen. I still think even though we come down hard on the Celtics, they're still a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference. They still have a real live shot to make it to the NBA Finals. I know you say that though there's no way they beat the Bucks in a playoff series. I say that series most likely goes 7. And if you're telling me it goes 7, that means it's a 50-50 shot who's winning game 7. It's any person's game at that point. So, yeah, it can they be better 100%? Is their flaws still their flaws from the past however many years? Yes, they don't have a good playmaker at the point guard position. They thought Brogdon was going to be that fix. Like you said, his elbow fell off. That's not their fault. So they're kind of stuck right now. They can't get rid of him because nobody really wants that, to deal with that injury concern and his contract at the same time. So right now they're stuck in that situation, but they're still a very good team. They're still top 3 in the Eastern Conference.
They're a very good team that, I guess how Celtics brass will probably look at it is this is a team that can probably get to the Eastern Conference Finals every year.
Yeah.
And they definitely can. And they made an acquisition that probably
haven't they been to the Eastern Conference Finals for the past like four years?
They've been to the conference finals 4 times in the last 6 years, which is since Jason Tatum's been drafted. But they've also been to the conference finals the year they didn't have Tatum. So it's 5 of the last 7 years.
So they have the roster to succeed. And, it's in the playoffs, it's always about, who's the hottest team, who's going to get hot. We saw it in Miami. And I just, like I said, I'm not a believer in Jaylen Brown. I think the move was a desperate one. People like to have stars. And keeping a star in your brand, that's always going to look good. You're always going to draw people in. You can always guarantee that you'll be in the postseason. But is that enough for Boston? A team with how many championships? 17, 18?
Well, isn't that's what I think that's what Kendrick Perkins preaches because he played for the Celtics. He says you got to look up in the rafters. What do you see there? You see championships, banners. This is Boston Celtics. We don't play for Eastern Conference Finals. We play for rings, championships. This is one of the most decorated franchises, not in NBA, in sports history. Go ahead, John.
It reminds me awfully a lot of the Steelers with the Killer Bees in the 2010s. But the difference is I don't think the Celtics team has it. This is what I'll tell you. They are a top 5 team in the NBA, and they were, to me, the best team this regular season. They had a top 2 offense and a top 3 defense after Udoka left. Time was the season. Their defense was still elite. That being said, the mood of them in videos like this is negative because of the expectations. When you're trying to win a championship and you perennially come up short for the same exact reasons, but then the team changes every year, there's no continuity either. They've changed up the fabric of the team around Tatum and Brown like 4 times now. They've had 3 different coaching staffs in the last 3 years. They've had 3 different sets of veteran teammates. And the only constant has been them and Marcus Smart. And at first, I liked the Porzingis trade, but you start to realize Marcus Smart was the heartbeat of this team. And so trading him to me is going to have some negative effects, as we saw. I mean, Udoka left, and they were like a sad sack versus the Hawks in the playoffs. That's where my concern would come.
Yeah, you talk about the changeover. That's 100% agreeable. You can't disagree there. But obviously, the Ime, stuff was nothing. I mean, there are some people that believe the Celtics leaked that, and they didn't have to leak it because it could have been a private matter done, handled with in-house. But it is what it is. It happened. Ime's on the Rockets now. You got to move on. But yeah, they traded away Marcus Smart. They got a new unit now. I think that might have been one of the biggest reasons of keeping Mazzulla. Is like we've changed over too much. We got to keep a steady pace. We got to keep consistency here. So keep Mazzulla in, get a little continuity and consistency with this team, and let's see. Obviously, we're talking. Their floor is the second round. Their ceiling is an NBA championship.
Probably, yeah.
Well, you say they made it to the NBA Finals. They went 6 games. I would say they're right there, a move away.
Here's the thing. So, the people think Joe Mazzulla is not a good coach because he had a rookie playoff run. Is that like what people believe? Because he's a good coach to me.
Yeah, no. I believe he's a good coach.
I think it's just not growing pains.
No, he's not. I don't think he's Ime.
And that's part of the reason why I felt like Ime was able to mask a lot of their offensive issues with that elite defense. But once he left, you started to see Time Lord get hurt, and Ime wasn't there. Ime was the fierce, intense personality that this team needs. You take him and Smart at the picture, and I think they lose too much of that heart. I don't think they had that dog, and that's something that people. It's kind of like it's a placeholder. Phil and I need something to say. They don't have that dog in them, but quite exactly, the Celtics team struggles to just put their foot on the gas and just kill teams. They lost 3 straight games to an 8th seed with their best player playing on one leg.
Yeah.
2 of those games at home. So they quite clearly have an issue with just setting the tone early, and they don't wake up oftentimes. And now the faucet doesn't run cold water. It's only hot. So, yeah. To me, I look at the Eastern Conference, and I think it's wide open. But I think the Bucks are going to come back next year and be a better team again.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's really a 3-4 team race if you want to have the Sixers in there. But so
let's not. They're a very fake team. And by the way,
I think it's very open.
It's open, but
it's really a 3-headed race.
It's a 3-team race.
We got the Bucks, Celtics, and the Cavaliers below, and the Cavs are looking to make their way
here with the Cavaliers. Don't.
Who would be the 3rd best team then?
The Miami Heat.
No, I actually.
Sorry, apologies.
I didn't. I promise I didn't do that on purpose. But you're right. It would go to me: Heat, Bucks, Celtics, Cavaliers 4. The Sixers to me are a fake playoff team. You got to see the Embiid. Why is that a topic? Embiid saying maybe I'll leave Philadelphia. Of course, he maybe will leave Philadelphia. He's turning 30 years old, and there are better ways to seize him with James Harden just like sitting there, just like sad that he's not getting a new contract. I feel bad for him, and also at the same time, I don't because that team it's been one of the most unlucky and frankly unserious over the last couple of years. But let's move on to 7 years from now, the top 5 players in the NBA.
Fucking A, bro.
I'm just mad that the Knicks weren't even in your top 6.
I named 4 teams.
All right, let's move on. I don't want to talk. Your Knicks are irrelevant right now, Justin.
Whoa.
So, top 5 players of 2030. You're making me feel old right now, dude. 7 years from now. So you guys got a list? I got a list of players that are right now under 25 or under. 2 of them are 26. And then I got Jokic kind of in there if he can sustain it. If he's even playing basketball at that point. He might be a guy who retires early because he just, he wants to be home with family. That's fine. Mm-hmm. So I think number 1 on the list, I think we can all agree on this, is probably Luka Doncic.
Oh.
No?
I have Anthony Edwards being the top player by that time.
So Ant will be 28. Luka will be 31. Both in their prime. Ant or Luka? Interesting, John.
Actually,
you have another name, or is it Ant or Luka?
SGA.
SGA is a good shout. He's 20. Oh, I don't have his age. I don't have his fucking age right now.
He's 25. Just turned
25. All right, so he'll be 32.
I'm sticking with my guy, Ant, man.
Sticking with Ant. I mean, it's a great shout, Ant or Luka. Damn, that's a great shout, man.
Some other names are LaMelo Ball.
LaMelo's a good shout. I'm really high on LaMelo. I think he's got top 5 potential in my
Paolo Banchero.
I'm not that high on Paolo. I think he'll be a very good player. I don't know if he'll break the top 10, to be honest with you.
Why?
It's just a feeling. Can't go off of anything, say anything more than it's just an instinct or feeling. I just don't think he'll be an elite player.
He can be Jabari Parker or LeBron James if he.
Chill the fuck out with LeBron James is the second greatest player of all time, and in your guys' opinion, is the greatest player of all time.
What I'm saying is,
no, don't. You said it. If you're
a 6'10" point forward with athleticism, very good passing. Day one as a 19-year-old, and he's also got the potential to be a great finisher. He's a bad one, right? He's one of the worst finishers in the league. He just averaged 20 points in his sleep. 20 years old.
Yeah.
So can Paulo become a high? He can become a 30-point per game leading scorer that then takes that gravity and creates for his teammates. He could be like a 30-8 type of player.
I thought you saying he'd be number one by then.
What I'll tell you is that I think Paulo reminds me of Jabari Parker, but if Jabari had an elite passing upside. Paulo averaged nearly 5 assists as a rookie on a team with really no floor spacing. Actually, to be precise here, because it wasn't 5 assists. It was 3.7. But in the second half of the year, it continued to go up as Orlando got healthy. They had an actual healthy full roster around him. So I think in 7 years, Paolo Banchero will be just 27 years old. I actually think in 7 years, he won't be in Orlando. He's from Seattle. They're going to get a team in the next 5 years to me. I also am looking at the history of the Magic. What have you seen? Shaq leaves after 4 years. Dwight Howard, after 7 years, leaves in 2011. I think Paolo might follow that same exact trend of a guy that wants to go play and represent his hometown. As a kid, they moved when he was like 4 years old, probably. So, yeah, I think Paolo's got more upside than LaMelo, and I also think it's more realistic than LaMelo because, hey, LaMelo also, while I think he can be a top 10 and will be a top 10 player, he's, a big fish in a small pond. A Charlotte franchise that...
He's not going to stay in Charlotte.
He
think
could.
LaMelo Ball is going to stay in Charlotte?
I look at his play style, and I see one of the worst finishers in the league. A guy that doesn't put much pressure on the rim. He's reliant on three-point shooting.
You just said Paolo Banchero was one of the worst finishers in the league, and you believe he can get better. So why can't it be the same for LaMelo?
LaMelo is a thin-framed 6'7".
He's 21 years old. He can't put on. I'm pretty sure he's gotten bigger every year he's been in the league. He can't. Did you see Giannis when he first came in?
Not a whole lot because he's not that broad-shouldered like Giannis. He's a narrow, and you see Lonzo is more thin. But Kevin Durant's also the best shot maker of all time, above 6'8".
All right, we're not saying that, John. We're not talking about shot. We're talking about him building his body type up. I don't know. That's a little bit biased to me right there, where you're just like you favor Banchero and believe he can do it, but LaMelo you don't.
No, Paulo was a rookie who was adjusting to the NBA. LaMelo's going to his fourth year, and you've seen every single season no development at all because of his body type and his play style. Paulo's play style and his frame, he's 260 pounds, 6'10". He's a tank. Yeah. So of course it's a touch thing. It's not a physicality thing. With LaMelo, he has some touch and no physicality. But in order to finish at a high level at the NBA, you need the athleticism and you need the toughness around the rim. I think Paolo has the foundation if he just develops his feel.
So Luka would be a top 5 player in 7 years.
Oh, in 7 years, Luka's going to be the number one player.
Luka.
I mean, Paolo.
Paolo? Top 5 player? To me, yes. Very, very. I'm all in.
Yeah, I maybe it's just because I haven't seen a lot yet, but it's just for me with him and like you might bring up Cade and guys who are rookies right now. Obviously, those guys haven't seen a lot, and they're just more feeling and instincts. When you say their name, I go, I don't think so. So for me, LaMelo, I've seen a little bit more, and I don't know. It's just a feeling with LaMelo. To be honest with you, I just have a feeling that he's going to be the guy that is going to. I just have a feeling LaMelo has elite superstar talent and ability, and I believe he'll be a top 5 player in this league when he hits his prime. I just truly believe
I do agree that he is a big fish in a small pond. So kind of everything that he does over there in Charlotte is just going to be.
He'll leave. He'll leave. I mean, do you think
it's just a matter of when? Because these players sign these major contracts, and now once you do that, it doesn't make it easier for these organizations to deal you now.
But that doesn't. I mean, unless you think that the NBA is going to change overnight or whatever.
It's not. So
LaMelo's not. I don't know. Where's the you? So you guys both believe LaMelo is staying in Charlotte?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying that it's much tougher to deal somebody. You just kind of don't know when.
There's no way LaMelo Ball stays in Charlotte, North Carolina. No. He's either finding his way to either LA team. He could go to Golden State, Miami, Boston, New York. These are the places. Like big markets is where LaMelo is going to go to. Trust me. LaMelo's not staying in Charlotte, guys.
Trust me, bro.
He could go to freaking Milwaukee with team up with Giannis. Talk about that pairing. I love that.
I would too. When Giannis is 34 years old, I want to love it. So, 2 guys we haven't mentioned yet are Victor Wembanyama and Zion Williamson.
I'm putting a giant Riddler question mark on Zion Williamson because I just don't know if he's going to be healthy. And Victor Wembanyama has such high expectations now coming into the league. I'm not going to pile up on that, so I'm gonna say no. For
Victor or
for Wemby, I'm gonna say no. And for Zion, just a big question mark.
But if you're ranking these guys, where do you have Wemby?
That comes down to, do you believe
in 7 years?
Yeah. Well, here's the question, Justin. Do you think Wembanyama is going to be a bust?
Oh, what the,
I
guys,
wouldn't.
what the hell
I'm not going to. Yeah, no. I'm not going to say bust.
Jesus.
Well, I'm just saying he was the way he was talking was like I was like just trying to figure out if he was going.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say bust.
That's all I'm asking.
The only thing stopping Victor Wembanyama from being a top 10 player is injuries. Nothing else. Nothing else. I think it's really inappropriate the way people talk about him, actually.
But I mean, it does remain to be seen how his game translates in the NBA. That's a fair argument.
Yeah, he's going to immediately be an all defensive player, and he's in summer league like one of the few centers. He's 19 years old to drop 27 points. Like it's like, oh, he had a down game, drop 27. Like that was how good he was by his second game.
That's awesome. Summer league is going to tell me that he's going to be the greatest thing to touch earth. No, that's not it. I've seen Kevin Knox kill it in the summer league.
So he was actually inefficient.
I'm not comparing him. I'm not going to try and compare him to Kevin Knox. But what I'm saying is, I'm not going to just say, "Oh, I'm this guy's holding it down now."
Summer league is where you see the skills, and Victor is the most skilled and natural center we've seen taken in the draft since Anthony Davis, and actually further than they take. He's a better prospect. Look, you saw in summer league the first game he didn't know what he was doing. He hadn't played in a couple of weeks. He was rusty. By the second, I've got one more guy from his draft class. I got two actually. Yeah. Look, I'm ranking these guys right now. I've got Luka 1.
How old will Victor will be 26, right? In 7 years?
I've got Victor and Anthony Edwards and Paolo Banchero 2 through 4. If Paolo develops and reaches his full potential, we'll get to him in a second. If Paolo reaches his full potential, he can be number 2. Assuming he doesn't, that's unlikely. I have Victor and Ann at 2 and 3, and then Paolo at 4. Jason Tatum would be right after Zion for me. He's the next guy named after Zion. I'd have Tatum right next to Shea at like 5 and 6. That's Tatum, though, above Shea, because in 7 years, he'll be 32 years old, and Shea will be 32. Yeah. So
what about Ja? My only question on Ja, he's 23, so he'll be 30, like smack in the middle of his prime, but he plays a lot like Dwyane Wade. And we obviously saw what happened with Dwyane. It actually rapidly started to decline once those knee injuries started banking up. So that could be my only setback on Ja Morant being in this discussion.
Honestly, I would throw Ja in my top 5. I think what he's already done for Memphis has been impressive enough. You give him a healthy full season, they continue to develop that roster. I think Memphis is going to be contending for titles for years to come. So I'll go give me a healthy Ja and his impact on that team. Yeah, I'll put him in the top 5.
Do you think he peaked too early, though?
I don't think he peaked.
You don't think he peaked?
So. I don't think he peaked.
Not at all.
He got He showed that he got better from the 3-point line. So I think that he can improve in his game still, and I think that there's going to be a better team surrounding Memphis in years to come.
I think your top 5 players in 7 years are already in the league right now and have been playing in the league. That's all. I got Ant-Man 1. I think he has a killer mentality, and I think the scariest thing is he's balling like an elite offensive player right now. And imagine what he's going to be in the next 2-3 years when Minnesota continues to mesh together. I think Ant is he has this, like I said, that killer mentality that I think he's going to catapult himself to number 1. I would put Luka 2, Ja 3. I'll go Jason Tatum 4, and then that 5 can go. I don't know, you tit for tat for who you want at number 5.
Yeah, I like your list. I like. Excuse me. Ant or Luka for me at 1. Man, if Zion can stay healthy, he's right there too. Tatum has got to be in there. I definitely do think LaMelo is going to be in that top 5. And to round it out, that 5th spot, I mean, it can be anywhere between Ja, Shea, D-Book. If he's still balling at that level, he'll be 33 at that point. That's where I can have the 5th spot. But I agree with Justin. And I hear John on his, he's really high on the younger dudes, the Paulos. I don't know if Cade is, you haven't said him yet, but and I know Victor you mentioned, and you said two other people from Victor's class. I would imagine it's one of the Thompson twins and probably Scoop.
Yep.
So yeah, those guys I just can't say anything yet. Haven't seen them, and for Paulo and Cade, haven't seen enough yet for me to really.
That's fair. So my top 5 in 7 years, the top 5 players in the NBA. Let's talk about it. Number 1 for me, gonna be Luka at age 30. No shit, I don't even know if that's true. It's gonna be 30.
No, he'll be 31. He'll be 31.
He's what? He's 26 or 25?
24.
He's still 24.
Yeah.
He'll be 31 years old, which is kind of crazy. He was an All-NBA player by his second season. Number 2, I've got Anthony Edwards. Number 3, I've got Victor Wembanyama. Number 4, Paolo Banchero. Number 5, Jason Tatum at 33. 32 years old. And then after those guys, some honorable mentions would be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 32, D-Book at 33, Tyrese Halliburton, Trae Young, who I think is going to be better. I don't know why I named him after. LaMelo, Scoot Henderson, and Amen Thompson.
I think not to start this debate, but I think LaMelo will be better.
Oh, he cut out so we couldn't hear the take. That's perfect. We
don't have to get. Sorry, do you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I said we don't have to get into this debate, but I do think LaMelo Ball will be better than Trae Young.
He's a better shooter than Trae. He's 7 inches taller, so I like that. I think it's a good take.
All right, my top 5.
That's what I do.
My top 5 for the next 7 years. The next 7 years, who's going to be the top 5 in the NBA? Being 1, I got the Ant-Man. Number 2, I'll take Luka. Number 3, John, I'm mad you didn't even put him in your top 5. I'm going to go Ja. Number 4, Jason Tatum. And I love you mentioning Tyrese Halliburton. I'll go him number 5. I think he's one of a slept-on player in the league. I think he's only getting better and better every year.
It's a new Reggie Miller. Okay.
B-Cap?
Liddy. Oh, I named my top 5. I don't have them in any particular order.
Okay.
No particular order.
No,
okay.
That's a little bit more difficult for me.
What if it's Brandon's world? If you could have it be your own.
You guys want to come live in Brandon's world real quick?
I'm waiting for you to name top 5.
I guess, like I said, I can't decide between Luka and Ant as my number 1. That's really what it's between on that number 1 and 2. They're kind of 1A, 1B, I guess, in my opinion, right there. Right after that, it probably LaMelo, Tatum, Booker. So Luka and Ant, 1A, 1B. LaMelo, Tatum, and Booker.
So we all assume Nikola Jokic retires before 35 because I think he retires much earlier than people think.
I think there's a strong, very, very strong possibility of that, yeah.
I hate to be it, but I hate to say it. I think Nikola Jokic might retire like Andrew Luck, and we're never going to hear from him again. Him and Kawhi are both going to do that. But I think with Jokic, he might just retire in a year and just be like, I've won 2 championships. You guys can, talk about Embiid. Embiid will still be, and Embiid, by the way, he's going to be 30. He's going to be 37 at this point. No shot he'll be.
No.
We got people asking, where are the bigs? I think Jokic retires. I think Joel Embiid, if he's still in the league at that point, 7 years from now, he's like Shaq. Shaq in Phoenix is what I kind of look at.
Giannis's athleticism will be in decline. He's not going to be that anymore. AD will be in decline. Yeah.
You know what? I don't know if I necessarily believe that about Giannis. I think Giannis will still be a top 10 player by then. I think the way that all these people invest in their bodies, I mean, we see it already with LeBron. LeBron puts over $1 million. It's been well documented into his health.
Yeah, but he can shoot.
Yeah, if only, right?
No, he can't. LeBron is a much better shooter than Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's why.
Well, yeah, he's a better shooter than him, but he's not a good shooter. But anyways, that's a topic for another day. But regardless, I think Giannis is if he's healthy, the way people are investing in their bodies now, I see no reason why he's not still a top 10, top 5 player. I think the guy's going to be a walking 27-plus points per game guy, an easy 10-plus boards. He'll dominate a game on the defensive end. I don't think anything changes with Giannis as long as he's healthy, and I think he'll be fine. Hey, man, look at this. How old is Steph Curry?
35?
35, and he just says that he feels like he's in the prime of his career.
Which isn't true.
It's just,
He's better than yeah, but Steph's also the
Steph-
exact player who would play at his best at 35 years old.
well, that
Giannis
is
didn't.
true.
Yeah, just to answer Darren in the chat for while we ignored Jokic, we just said that we believe Jokic will most likely be retired at that point. So
No, I think he's saying he
and
wants
just
it to not even mention him.
open your ears, shut your mouth. That's why God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. All right, use them. Thank you. I just wish people would just listen. We literally just talked about it a minute and a half ago. I don't know why he's like, are you listening or not? That's why I gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth.
So now can I talk about some 15-year-olds? Now I'm playing.
No.
There are some young prospects, Cooper Flagg and Cam Boozer, Carlos Boozer's son.
That's John's wheelhouse.
Yeah, in 7 years, people are going to be hyping up the way they are Ant and Paolo right now.
Man, these superstar NBA players' kids are going to be taking over the league pretty soon, huh?
So, yeah, we want to talk about Dwyane Wade. Justin, do you have enough time for a couple minutes or no?
I got 5.
5 minutes, okay. Well, let me talk about Dwyane Wade's unbeatable 5-year peak for a brief moment. There's a lot of people that have completely forgotten how great There are a lot of people who have forgotten how great Dwyane Wade was at his peak. He didn't just win a championship in 2006. He would have won one in 2005 had he not gotten hurt and missed Game 6 versus the Pistons in the conference finals. A Pistons team that would go on to play the Spurs in a 7-game series the series later. Dwyane Wade in his career, in the first half, was nearly going to the finals by his second season, won a championship by his third. We forget he won a title before LeBron. And none of his championships, not one, came with a prime Shaq or, when he was playing with LeBron, his prime years. You think about it, and Paul Pierce just said recently, if you put me with Shaq and LeBron James, I would clearly have a couple of championships, more than one. I'm like, Dwyane Wade got a 32-year-old Shaq who, when they won a championship together, was getting benched in the finals for Alonzo Mourning. And then, when Dwyane Wade played with LeBron James, he had 1 year in his prime, 2011, where he was the better of the two players in the NBA Finals. The two championships they won in 2012 and 2013 were when Dwyane Wade, after 2 knee injuries, was starting to fall off. And I think to myself, honestly, the conversation isn't, is James Harden or Paul Pierce and Dwyane Wade's level. I think the real conversation is if Dwyane Wade could have been the second best shooting guard of all time, rivaling Kobe the way he did in the mid-2000s, had he had a longer NBA peak. It feels like one of the biggest what-ifs because in a decade that was dominated by Duncan, Kobe, Garnett won an MVP. Yeah, Dirk.
LeBron.
He was the one by his second and third season who left no doubt. LeBron, he hasn't won a championship yet, but I have.
Yeah.
And it took LeBron teaming up with him to finally get one.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think that man gets enough justice. Mm-hmm. It's really crazy to me.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I mean, Dwyane Wade, especially in today's world, you see all these kids, how big basketball is in the media world. All these kids are watching Steph Curry or who throw me some at Ja Morant. Kids are fascinated by guys like Ja Morant. But if you go back and you watch yourself a D Wade mixtape, your eyes might pop out of your head. Dwyane Wade was otherworldly in his prime, and not a lot of kids know about it. And I don't know if it's just because his star kind of dwindled out a little bit when LeBron was there in Miami. It wasn't the same Dwyane Wade, even though we saw a good version of him, obviously not the peak version of him, but we still saw a good version of him, but it wasn't the one that pulled kids in, you know what I mean? So I just feel like a lot of people don't know what Dwyane Wade was really about back when he came into the league.
You know who doesn't know? Apparently his contemporary and exclusively Paul Pierce's dumbass. This is where this underratedness comes. And it is a point to show that at least people that are in the NBA community instantly shut Paul Pierce down when he makes these outrageous takes and says his career was better than Dwyane Wade's. They instantly shut it down. So at least there's hope there. But no, yeah, you guys mentioned on it. The peak was the peak, the prime, whatever you want to use, was a short stint. but for that short stint, it was otherworldly. I mean, I don't know if you guys listened to Dwyane Wade when he was on Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharp's podcast. He was on, I think, about a month ago, and he talked about it. He said, my trajectory was, if I'm healthy, I'm being talked as a top 10, possibly top 5 player all time. I got cut off. So I just think, obviously right there, it's a little underrated in my point. People don't talk about Dwyane Wade, but John is correct, 100% correct. People will argue. I knew somebody I worked at Five Guys with. He believed Dwyane Wade was better than Kobe Bryant. Wholeheartedly believed that. He wasn't a Miami Heat fan too. He was an Orlando Magic fan. So Dwyane Wade, I think, like Justin said, we're not the older generation, and I know John's younger than us, but the older generation remembers. Our generation will remember, and it's our job to, show the younger generation how great Dwyane Wade was at his peak. I mean, he was robbed of an MVP when he led the league in scoring, but Dwyane Wade was right there as one of the best players in the NBA while, Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan, like John said, was dominating and then kind of transitioned over into LeBron James's league. But Dwyane was always right there in that discussion.
He had to drop 35 points per game and 44 in the final 3 games that he eviscerated the Dallas Mavericks with not much help, really. Jason Williams, Antoine Walker, who, that was Paul Pierce's number 1 teammate for years. And then Shaq at 33. It's unfortunate I didn't get to watch this peak in prime fashion. I have to go back and watch games 17 years or 18 years later to really get a feel for it. Because as you point out, Brandon, if you had an extra 5 years of a peak and LeBron didn't come in 2010, I don't know if we'd be talking about Kobe certainly being the second best shooting guard. I think it'd be more of a debate. And yet people are trying to say, Jeff Teague said yesterday that James Harden actually is a guy I would prefer over Dwyane Wade of all time. You know what?
That sickens me. I'm not going to lie.
There's levels. And I think Dwyane Wade is in the second tier with Kobe and Jerry West if you include him as a shooting guard. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
No debate. I won't debate that. I really hate that the James Harden narrative gets pushed. And as much as I love Paul Pierce, as you guys know, this is my favorite player of all time. Every time that he speaks, he says something that just makes you say, bro, just stop. Like I remember Jalen Rose. It's a very famous video of Jalen Rose just absolutely rapping on him. He says how much better he was than Dwyane Wade, and he just goes down the list of all his championships, all of his awards, his defensive teams, all-star games, everything, all NBA teams, how much Dwyane Wade has done in his career. And that's even after his
honestly, and sorry to cut you off, Justin, but even not even talking about accomplishments and awards, you want to just talk strictly as a basketball player, probably the only thing that Paul Pierce is better than Dwyane Wade at is three-point shooting and free throws, but not clutch free throws, because Dwyane Wade in the clutch showed up with his free throws. That's probably it. You want to go down the list.
Paul Pierce was clutch.
That's it. That's really it.
I mean, listen, when I first heard it, that Paul Pierce had said that, not the recent one, but years ago, it made me like raise an eyebrow a little bit. And I'm like, is he? And then I had to kind of snap myself out of it because I'm just a Paul Pierce fan and really tell myself, nah, putting Flash and Paul Pierce in the same sentence, it's just because they rivaled against each other a couple times. It
Blasphemous.
Doesn't stop.
Erroneous.
Dwyane Wade's one of the more underrated stars of our time.
Give him Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett and be a 5-time champion. Okay, Justin.
All right, fellas. Yo, John, you're my guy. Brandon, you're my guy. I'll holler at you guys. Do this Bills topic. Good justice. Don't shit on Josh Allen for me. Peace and love.
Peace, love.
Take a light, brother.
Stay classy, guys.
All right.
Love that.
So now we talk about football.
Foosball.
So I feel like the New York Jets are the best team in the AFC East. Now, on this channel, we have yet to really preview the entire division. While I think the Jets are the highest ceiling of any team in this division, I feel like the Buffalo Bills peaked, kind of like the Boston Celtics, a year and a half ago. To me, when the Bills let go of Brian Daboll, they chose Sean McDermott, a proven head coach instead. And it seems like the right choice. McDermott has become a top 10 coach in the league, one of the better defensive minds. But in today's NFL, defensive coordinators hardly win championships. It's offensive coordinators who take teams to the next level, enabling them to win championships. But more simply, they sustain elite level play. Brian Daboll is the one who developed Josh Allen, and this last year in the postseason, you saw Sean McDermott's defense fall off a cliff when injuries came. And Ken Dorsey's offense lacked the creativity and diversity which Brian Daboll brought to the Giants, helping revive Daniel Jones and making that a playoff team when nobody thought they'd win more than 7 games. That's exactly why I think the Buffalo Bills are going to fall off. Not that they're going to be a non-playoff team this year, but to me, the entire AFC caught up to them. And when I look at them, it reminds me awfully lot of the Atlanta Falcons in 2016. They had this young offensive mind, Kyle Shanahan, who made Matt Ryan an MVP, helped enable a team. And while he lost the Super Bowl, it was quite clear Dan Quinn was an average coach. He was replaceable. He was a defensive mind. As that defense started to tail off, Kyle Shanahan went to San Francisco, and he made them a team going to the NFC Championship game within 3 years. To me, it's deja vu. I think the Buffalo Bills had to make a decision they're uncomfortable with because that was the sacrifice it was going to take to get to that next stage. And by getting so close to beating Kansas City, you saw that team was more than capable. But now by losing the offensive minds who put you in that position in the first place, I'm out entirely on the Bills. I don't look at the offensive line or the running game and Josh Allen's workload and think this is a team that can sustain for the next 4 years, 11 wins a year. This division has gotten better, and this entire AFC, to me, has offensive minds. Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, and then you look at what the Bills have. It's a defensive coach that every single year doesn't perform in the playoffs. Their defense has taken a pretty big hit the last few seasons.
Yep. Oh, and you missed the Bengals guy. I'm forgetting his freaking name. Yep. And then Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins. But it's interesting you say, because Robert Saleh is a defensive guy as the New York Jets football head coach. But the only thing I'll disagree with you on, because, you're coming to my side of the table, really. Excuse me. You're coming to my side of the table a little bit where I've been saying, this method, this way the Bills go about things is not sustainable for success. Basically having Josh Allen be the entire workload, it's not going to work for a sustained amount of time. The thing I disagree with you on is I don't think that they made the wrong decision in keeping McDermott and firing Brian Daboll. Or they didn't fire Brian Daboll, letting him, walk. Because at that point in time, Daboll was just an offensive coordinator. He was an unproven commodity. He had not been a head coach yet. And Sean McDermott had been your head coach for, 2 or 3 years at that point. He had proven himself. They've gotten better under his leadership, especially with the history of the Buffalo Bills the past 20 years, which was completely, in the dumpster. So I don't think you could say that's a little revisionist history, in my opinion, because at that point in time, they made the right decision. Obviously, would they have loved to keep Brian Daboll and Sean McDermott? Yeah, but sometimes you can't have your cake and eat it too. And yeah, I don't think you can. The only way you can say that was a bad move was looking back at it now with the knowledge you have, because at that point in time, it wasn't a bad move. It was the move that just kind of needed to be.
Was it entirely revisionist history, though?
Yeah, because because of what I just said. You didn't know what Brian Daboll would have been as a head coach, and you knew what Sean McDermott was, and I don't think you wanted to create instability firing a guy who, I don't know at that point when, what was that, 2 years ago? So what were they coming off of? Was that the AFC Championship appearance?
Yes.
Yeah, so
that was after to the wire, or 13 seconds away.
13 seconds, the 13-second game. So I don't think after that you fire your head coach, especially when that was the first time they had made it to the playoffs or the second time they made it to the playoffs. You're just starting this success with this new guy. I don't think you just cut him off and bump up your offensive coordinator when you don't know what your offensive coordinator can be as a head coach.
You know what I'll say? Brian Daboll may not have been a head coach before, but at Alabama in 2017, he worked with Jalen Hurts. He then turned Josh Allen's career around. In 2021, it wasn't revisionist history to me that I'd rather have an elite offensive mind than an elite defensive coach. And that to me is even clearer today. If I'm the New York Giants, right, you look at them a year and a half ago, would you rather have an elite defensive mind or an elite offensive mind? No brainer. You take the elite offensive coach any day. And it's even more relevant for a contender because you're trying to sustain what you've built. But with defensive coaches, you lose that first offensive coordinator if he's good, and then you have to replace him, and you keep losing the person who's working with the most important person in your organization, the quarterback. Josh Allen's a great player, but it requires really good coaching to then succeed at the highest level. And the playoffs, as we've talked about before, the Bills are in a diverse offense. They're kind of a one-trick pony, and they put so much in Josh Allen, bring power as a quarterback, that there's injury history, or there's an injury concern with his history of having so many carries and so many throws. And that reminds me a bit of Big Ben as a Steeler fan, and even Andrew Luck with the Colts. Feels like everything rests on his shoulders. And the more you do that, the worse things get 4 or 5 years when it starts to add up. And my dog needs to zip it.
No, yeah. I mean, you're 100% right for years to come. But I think as long as Sean McDermott has the success, God damn it. Excuse me. I just think that right now, I hate to say it, but the Bills do kind of run the AFC East. It goes through them right now. And until that changes, I can't see them saying, let's move off of Sean McDermott, especially now, because now what you're doing is you don't have a suitable guy to replace him, right? So now you don't have a Brian Daboll. So I think right now they're going to obviously keep Sean McDermott. So, and in terms of winning the division, you have the Jets winning the division. I think the Bills win this division. I think the Jets are going to be better. I think this division is going to be very close in terms of the win totals and losses. I just think that they're going to be very close, and I don't think you can say – I know you're going to say about the Patriots only winning 5 games. I don't know if any of these teams are going to win less than maybe 7 or 8 games. I just see all these teams competing their asses off. They're all well-coached teams. Jets, I'm not a huge believer in Solid just yet. I got to be honest. I still have to see more. He still has to prove himself a little bit more. All of them have talent, and all of them can win in their own certain ways. So I think this AFC East is so tightly contested, but I still see the Bills coming out on top. I hate to say it. It sounds like it's poison in my mouth saying that.
It's one of the two most competitive divisions. I do think we just talked about the Boston Celtics before, and we say, they're a top 2 team. The floor is high, which is the case with the Bills, but it's really a matter of if you don't get back to the AFC Championship game, Sean McDermott should be on the hot seat. Because every single year the expectation is championship. And the more you don't get there, the more you have to look at new alternatives that can take you back to that point. So, look, pressure's on this Buffalo team. And I think the Jets are a better team because they're younger, more complete, and healthier defensively. The Bills had a defense like the Jets 2.5 years ago, but then everybody got injured with torn ACLs and to their best corner and to their best edge rusher that they committed $70 million guaranteed to. And the Jets' offense has something the Bills haven't had up until this point. It's a game-breaking running back in Breece Hall. And you look at James Cook, who's unproven, had a decent rookie year, and you have to really wonder if he could be a top 3 running back in the league, the way Breece Hall was the first 7 weeks of last year. So, to me, Robert Saleh being the head coach, a defensive mind, that doesn't go into my thought process because the defense is just elite. And the offense, it's going to surprise a lot of people how good it's going to be this year.
Yeah,
they were one of the worst in football last year. And Aaron Rodgers, his best weapon in Green Bay was Devontae Adams. The second best was Robert Tonyan.
Yeah.
The Jets' second best weapon in Corey Davis would have been legitimately his number one receiver for the first half of last year.
Yeah, you expect Aaron Rodgers to figure it out as a New York Jet and to bump that offense up massively, which is, you had no debate here. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. So, yeah.
So let's talk about the New England Patriots.
You want to hear about them?
I'm a fan of New England because of their defense and their head coach.
Don't lie. Don't lie. Be honest.
I think their defense can probably be a top 5 unit in the league this year. With their front seven, they drafted Christian Gonzalez, which to me was a steal when they traded back. Thank you guys for moving up with the Steelers. I truly believe New England has a high floor as a team. That being said, I look at their schedule, and I don't think this team wins more than 6 games this year.
So, me and Justin last week, we predicted the Patriots schedule. We went through the entire schedule. Me and him both had it at 9-8, but we had two games. I think we just switched. We didn't pick every game exactly the same. So, do you want to go through the schedule right now, real quick?
Absolutely.
Okay. So for you, Philadelphia. I didn't write where they are at this point. Philadelphia, week 1. That's in New England. I know that because they're having Tom Brady. They're honoring Tom that week. So, who do you got winning that game?
I've got the Eagles for sure. 425. I think it'll be a close game, 1 score, but yeah, Philly.
Yeah, I think New England is going to compete in that game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. It is. It's only a Sunday afternoon game. Me and Justin both had Philadelphia taking that game. So week 2 in New England. Once again, the Miami Dolphins are traveling to New England. Who you got?
Tua going 4-0 versus the Patriots. I think that defense, especially getting better, will put them in prime position to win an ugly game versus Belichick.
Yeah. So me and Justin agreed that Miami and New England are going to split this year. So me and him both had New England taking this game in week 2. So week 3 in Meadowlands against the New York Jets. New England travels to New Jersey. Me and Justin, I think we both had the Jets winning this game. I think we had them splitting as well, the Jets and Patriots.
I've got the Jets beating them both times this year.
Okay.
They've got to me, an equal defense and a way more dynamic offense with, to me, the running game to slow it down, the passing attack to open it up, and then that secondary. I mean, last year, the Jets were holding the Patriots to 3 points, and their defense can get even better this season.
Yeah, so you have New England starting off 0-3. Next week 4, traveling to Dallas. Who you got, Patriots or the Cowboys?
It's a gauntlet of a schedule, man.
Yeah,
the Cowboys, actually the Jets, Dolphins, and Eagles. I've got Dallas taking this one. Another 425 game. Yeah, Cowboys are some September 1. No, this is an October game, so I can't make fun of them. Dallas to me can win this game comfortably.
Yeah, I have me and Justin both had Dallas winning this game. So me and Justin had them starting off 1-3. You have them starting off 0-4. Week 5, back to New England. The Saints come to New England. Who you got in that game?
New Orleans will lose. I'm not a big Saints guy, and I think the Patriots can actually kick their ass in this game.
Yeah, we all know New Orleans seems to they always perform a little less away from the Superdome. So me and Justin both had New England taking that game. Next up, going to Vegas, the Patriots take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Who you got?
McDaniels versus Tudor and Bill Belichick. Another game to me where I think the coaching mismatch, the defensive mismatch, especially given the Raiders don't have much outside of Max Crosby, that's another blowout game. I think the Patriots will win a second straight here.
All right, yeah, me and Justin both agreed, especially after the unfortunate event of last year. We're going to right a wrong this year. That's obviously not going to happen again, and we don't expect Josh McDaniels getting another W over the Bill Belichick, the teacher, the master, as I should say. Next up, to New England, Buffalo comes. Who you got in that game?
I think the Bills are a team. When their defense shows up, they can knock you out pretty easily in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
This is the point of the year where Von Miller can be back, and I think this Bills team, they can run over the Patriots. I've got them winning.
Yeah, Justin convinced me that we believe the Bills are going to sweep the Patriots this year, so I have them taking an L. Going to Miami, Patriots taking on the Dolphins. This is the game. Obviously, me and Justin said they would split, so I had Miami winning this game.
Yeah, I think I had the Patriots going 1-5 in their division. This is another loss for me.
Okay, so another loss for John. He's got them with 2 wins so far. So this is where me and Justin had the Patriots going on a win streak here. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see where you have them. Back home, the Commanders come to New England. Who you got?
I've got New England, but this to me is the point of the schedule at 3-6. Once you beat the Commanders, you're looking at the inevitable reality of 7 wins to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think by midseason, you're going to see Mac Jones play fine, better than his second season, not quite as well as his first. And my feel for that is just that their offensive line hasn't been upgraded a whole lot at the tackle positions. I think they'll be under pressure. And to me, Bill O'Brien makes the offense better, but there's not that clear game-breaking receiver who makes Mac Jones a much better player. So I feel like by this stage, you're going to feel like he is an expendable quarterback that you're going to have to make a decision on whether or not you want to pay him in a year. And to me, I would rather just tank the rest of the year for Caleb Williams or Drake May, what they didn't do for Trevor Lawrence in 2020. Look, you only get so many chances at a awesome to potentially generational quarterback. If everything clicked with Caleb Williams, I don't know if he'd be quite at the level of Trevor Lawrence, but not too far off. You know, if Bryce Young was 6'2", that kind of gave me a great. I don't know if that'd be generational. The point here is, I think this is the point of the year where the Patriots should look at tanking, and to me, I would tank here if I were the Patriots.
Yeah, I hear you. I wished for that. When Trevor Lawrence is coming out, it's not going to happen. That's not a Bill Belichick way. I think, honestly, if you brought that to his attention and said, yo, hey, Mr. Coach Belichick, I think that we should tank, he'd probably fire your ass on the spot, if I'm going to be honest with you. So next up, we got both teams traveling to Germany, going to Europe. The Colts taking on the Patriots. Me and Justin both had the Patriots taking this game.
I've got Indianapolis surprising a lot of people. The defense is average. The offense, Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor could be one of the best rushing duos like we saw this year at the Eagles. They're well coached. They've got decent weapons. The Colts, to me, are just a more dynamic rushing attack. And I think a healthy Jonathan Taylor gives them the edge.
You think so do you think Anthony Richardson is starting at this point of the season?
I think this is one of his first starts. By midseason, he'll be a starter. And yeah, I think Shane Steichen too is going to do a good job helping simplify the game. A lot of read option and a lot of opportunities for him to just be a playmaker, kind of using his legs as much as he can. Similar to Jalen Hurts as a rookie. It's really the perfect comparison to me.
Yeah. Me and Justin agreed on that we thought Richardson was going to be starting, and I brought up the point. If Richardson is starting, actually, if either quarterback is starting, Bill Belichick is going to eat their lunch money or take their lunch money, basically. He performs very well against rookie quarterbacks, especially in Anthony Richardson, who is a project. It is not going to be NFL ready when he comes out. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. If you got to go up against that vaunted Belichick defense, you've seen what he does to quarterbacks who are unprepared for that moment in years prior.
True. But most of those guys are pocket passers. Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold. On the Jets, the Colts are much better coached, and Richardson is much more athletic to make plays, especially when stuff breaks down. I think his floor-raising ability, given the athleticism and size profile, that makes him the rare type of player who's not going to be completely disenchanted by Bill Belichick.
All right. He's going to have to pass. But next up, we got the Patriots going back to Meadowlands twice this year. Taking on the New York Giants, though. Me and Justin both had the Patriots win in this game.
After their bye week, I think New England will win this. It's going to be an ugly game, probably in the rain, right after my eyes are failing me. Is this?
It's after Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving.
Did you say that? I'm sorry if you did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, this to me is a Patriots win, personally. To me, on John Tortorelli's scale, it's a loss if I'm the coach and if I'm Bill Belichick. Yes, it would be, but no.
So this is a game that I think Justin and me were in agreement on this one. I'm pretty sure. I made the point. This is in New England. It's in December. cold weather. A warm weather team is coming. The Chargers are going to have to take some L's this season. I think the Patriots shock the Chargers and get a W, especially because of the weather condition. I really do believe that the Patriots win this game.
This is probably the part of the Charger season where everybody on their defense is injured. Brandon Staley's in the hot seat because they're 7-6, and I do think it's a must-win game for the Chargers, though. They are a great team on paper, but they're not going to be a great team this season. I'm not falling for it. Justin Herbert, he was actually one of the quarterbacks that got absolutely robbed by Bill Belichick. He has lunch money stripped back in 2020, but no, 2021. He is going to go into Foxborough or Gillette Stadium, and he's going to throw over 450 yards. Quentin Johnson after the catch opens up a lot. So does Kellen Moore. Just a huge upgrade from Vic Lombardi. You also got to keep in mind, too, Austin Eckler is going to be Ryan Angry. Yeah, I've got the Chargers winning this game.
All right. And short week, Thursday, Patriots, Steelers, not in Heinz Field, in Acrisure Stadium. Me and Justin obviously have the Patriots taking this game.
Look, last year was an anomaly, an embarrassment. Mitch Trubisky was our starting quarterback, and that game was ugly. If you're a Steeler fan, you thought to yourself, the Steelers were the better team last year than the Patriots. They won more games. They got more better this offseason. They improved more. I look at the Steelers, Brandon. They're very similar to the Patriots, but there's not actually a weakness with the Steelers. But the Patriots, there are many things you can pick at. The weapons for the Steelers, much more dynamic. The offensive line, especially at tackle, is just as good, if not slightly better. The defense with the edge is just as good with TJ Watt. He has the it factor. I mean, he's just a step above Matt Judon, and Matt Judon is a great player. So that means TJ Watt is kind of like a game wrecker on the level of, to me, this is a hot take I have. TJ Watt, when he plays, helps the Steelers win 75% of their games. When he's on the field, they're an automatic playoff team. I think he's just as valuable as a top 10 quarterback like Dak Prescott. He drives as much value as in the regular season. And TJ Watt wasn't healthy last year when the two teams played. Now there was Najee Harris. So I think the Steelers on the road this year will win, unlike last year where they're at home. That's a good game, though. I'm looking forward to watching the matchup of Tomlin versus Belichick.
That's always a fun matchup, Patriots, Steelers. Next up, this is where, honestly, me and Justin had a couple of losses in a row. This one, Kansas City in New England. We both had Kansas City taking this game, obviously.
Now, the Chiefs, by this point in the year, are probably going to be 12-2.
Yeah.
I think this is a game that the Patriots actually would steal it.
Oh, really?
8:15. Patrick Mahomes is playing on prime time, so everyone's going to be watching. But I feel like Kansas City is not going to have any pressure on them to win, whereas New England, not if I were the coach, is going to be gunning for 8 wins. So I think it's going to be a very close game, but still, I just can't bet against Andy Reid. So we're going to go with Kansas City still. But I think that will be a much better game than people think.
Closer game. Me and Justin agreed on this one. I do believe I said this. If D-Hop was on our team, we would have won this game. But I think the Denver Broncos are going to take this game, especially in Mile High.
Denver this year is going to be a lot better and a lot more in sync. Week 16, they're going to be fighting for a playoff spot, probably an 8-win team at this point. And I've looked at this Broncos defense, and if Randy Gregory's healthy, because he's never, but in the case he is, that Broncos team, their defense is going to be just as good as the Patriots, and I've got them winning.
Yeah. Next up, to Buffalo, New England travels. New Year's Eve, me and Justin both had the Bills winning this game. Like I said, the Bills are sweeping. Yeah.
This is where they're trying to get to like winning the division, and the Jets are also trying to get that title. Who the Patriots play Week 18.
Last game of the season in New England, I had the Patriots winning this game. Like I said, they're going to split, and I think New England wins this game. Last game of the season.
Okay, so I didn't have after the bye week, the Patriots won 1 game for me. And before the bye week, they won 3 versus the Washington Commanders, the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, and New Orleans Saints. So that's a 4-win team to me. I feel like they're just by nature going to win one of these games. There's a good team that I had them losing, which, you know what, I'll say the they split with Buffalo, I guess. They have to split one of these teams. I don't think they split with New York personally. Weeks 3 and 18. If there are two midseason games, maybe a little more injuries, I would say yes. But usually week 3 is an isolated week, and so is 18. There's less variables that go into it. So yeah, I've got the Patriots winning 5 games, and that's why, given how tough their schedule is and how low their ceiling is, it's similar to my Steelers, where their floor is probably 5-6 wins comfortably. Their ceiling is 9. If everything hit this year and Mac Jones took a huge, for his standards, step forward to his rookie year, they're a 10-win team. And in this division, I think it's better off you find the quarterback who can give you the chance to be the best long term and not cementing yourself with Mac Jones, who, look, I think he's fine, but not a quarterback I see competing with New York and Buffalo long term, and Miami.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough go. I do believe that Mac Jones actually has the best season of his career. I think it eclipses his rookie season. Yeah, I just think that while the weapons aren't what they need to be, I think they're slightly better than what he had his rookie season. I think Bill O'Brien's going to be a massive upgrade for him, obviously over Patricia and Joe Judge. Ramondre Stevenson is starting to break out. I think Gesicki is much better than Jonnu Smith, especially for what we were paying Jonnu. Taekwon, he showed a little spurts. I think Bill O'Brien will upgrade him a little bit. I'm a big fan of Kendrick Bourne. Obviously, Marcus Jones was a massive shocker and electricity type player for us last year on every single phase of the game, offense, defense, and special teams. The kid is electric. So yeah, I think Mac has a better season. And our defense is going to be top 5, no matter what, in my opinion. So I had us winning 9 games. Like I said, like I was on that train. If D-Hop came, I do believe we would have won this division. I think there are a couple of games that we would have switched from L's to wins if we had DeAndre Hopkins, because he would have opened up so much more for this offense, and our defense is obviously just top notch.
You know, if there's anything I can use to really pinpoint against Mac Jones beyond the below average weaponry, it's just you guys are playing an elite defense almost every other week. Philly, Miami, New York, Dallas, New Orleans.
New Orleans ain't no slouch, defensively.
They're a good defensive team.
Yes, they are.
Washington,
Miami
Indianapolis is average. I think the Dolphins defense is like the 12th best in the league with Vic Fangio and Jalen Ramsey coming in, and Dave Long, who was really good when healthy for the Titans, just like a thumper in the run game, who's not bad in coverage.
The Chargers have names. If they show up, they can be a top-notch defense if they show up.
That's not even one of the best defenses they play this year.
No. And you got
the
Pittsburgh,
Steelers, Broncos, and then the Bills and Jets. Look, I'm critical of the Bills kind of playoffs. They've been run all over. But in the regular season, they were the second best in the league last year.
Yeah, they're very good regular season.
Assume with their coaching, Daquan Jones being back, unlike that Bengals game, Von Miller at least being on the fields, helping Gregory Rousseau develop a little bit more, with Ed Oliver taking another step forward. Dude, I feel bad for Mac Jones just because of that. He's not being set up to really outmatch and shine better than the opposing quarterback. And
when you look around the AFC, especially the AFC, we'll just stay in the AFC because it's quarterback centric. You look at the talent that was surrounded by all these quarterbacks. You look at the Bills, even though you say they're lack, you still got Stephon Diggs. They just drafted a tight end who's projected to be very, very good. You look at the Miami Dolphins. He's got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and some other dogs, and Mike McDaniel, who's an elite offensive play caller. Aaron Rodgers is there now. He's got Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, like you said. You look at the AFC North, your division, the Steelers, they have talent around him with Deontay Johnson and Pickens, Najee Harris, obviously, and Freiermuth, who you called very early on was going to be a very good player, and he's well on his way. You look at the Browns, Deshaun Watson. He's got Amari Cooper. He's got some talent as receiver, and Njoku has taken steps up. They still got Nick Chubb. Their offensive line is still a top-notch offensive line. You look at the Ravens. They just surrounded Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham Jr., Mark Andrews still there, J.K. Dobbins. They fired their offensive coordinator, brought in a new one. You look at the which team am I missing at? The Bengals. The guy, Joe Burrow's got an abundance of freaking talent as receiver positions. Todd Boyd, Higgins, Chase. You still got Mixon in the backfield. You look at the AFC West. I don't have to keep in the AFC South. All these guys have been surrounded with talent. and Mac Jones got Juju Smith-Schuster as his number 1.
That's rough. I think we're getting as the least supported quarterback in the entire AFC. And the only thing he
100%.
really has is just an elite running back,
Bill
the
O'Brien.
most expendable position in Bill O'Brien,
I give Bill
who's
O'Brien.
been at the NFL for a couple of years.
Yeah, but he's gonna make Mac Jones better. He's gonna make that offense better. Like I said, I think we're gonna be 9-8. I think we were 8-9 last year, or 7-10, whatever we were.
8-9.
We're gonna be around the same record, right? Give or take. What I say, though, is that our offense is going to look so much more cleaner than it did last year. We're not going to be playing sloppy offensive football like you saw last year. It's going to look much more cleaner. While the outcome might be the same, how you get there is going to look much cleaner, and people are going to be saying much more positive things about the Patriots' offense. Always going to say positive things about Belichick and the defense, but people will be talking about the Patriots' offense in a much better light than they were last year. That is a 1,000% fact, cannot be disagreed with.
Feel kind of sick asking this question because Bill Belichick. But if the Patriots do have another losing season, I've seen a couple of different people say that Bill Belichick should be put on the hot seat. Tom Brady left after 2019 for the Buccaneers. And since that point, they've had 2 losing seasons and 1 winning season. Their record is 500. And it seems like they're kind of headed nowhere. And for as long as Bill Belichick is here, they're always going to be a good enough defense to just be average, but they won't be putting themselves in a position to ultimately raise their ceiling should Bill be put on the hot seat with another losing season.
Yeah, it's not even people saying it. Rich Eisen went out and said he has been on the levels of the hot seat since Brady left. No, Bill Belichick should not be on the hot seat, and I don't believe he is on the hot seat. We went through this, I think, a couple of months ago, to be honest with you, or several months ago. I went through the list of the head coaches that had a tenure like Belichick and one like Belichick. All of them left on their own accord, except for I think one of them, which was the Green Bay Packers one, which ended very sloppily back in the freaking 30s or whatever it was. I'm pretty sure. Bill Belichick is going to walk away on his own terms. You're not firing Bill Belichick. You look at a guy like Greg Popovich. Didn't have much success after Tim Duncan and Kawhi Leonard left, or I should say when Kawhi left. They stuck along with him. You stick with Belichick. I understand you're not used to this. We're used to dominating and winning, but that's kind of you. Very rarely do you get Joe Montana to Steve Young, Favre to Rodgers. Very rarely does that happen.
Big Ten to Pickett.
Yeah, okay. Peyton to Andrew Luck. You very rarely get that. It's going to take a little time. You say we're in kind of no man's land. I say we are honestly one receiver breaking through. If Tyquan Thornton is what we drafted him to be, which I'm not saying he will be or is, if he is, we can be a real player. I just think we're honestly one off really good or a great offensive piece away from being an actual contender in this conference.
Tyquan Thornton is a deep threat, but he's not like this 3-level winner who's developing into an elite number 1.
No. Well,
receiver.
Yeah.
Mac Jones is an average quarterback, and the Patriots tackle depth and starters is average too. Even if Tyquan Thornton has himself let's say Henry Ruggs like breakout in year 2, 850 yards, half a dozen touchdowns, you're going to look at this offense as very limited. And to me, there's just such a clear cap on them. Greg Popovich realized after 4 years, I have to tank. Otherwise, we're just going to be stuck in a hamster wheel of 37 wins.
Yeah.
And the football version of that is actually very fittingly, very easy to make this comparison. Bill Belichick after winning 6 championships with Tom Brady. I kind of feel like we know where this is going. And we've seen for the last 2 years, it's been fun to see the story of can Belichick thrive without Brady? We know the answer is no, because no coach really can thrive without an elite quarterback unless they've got an elite team.
Yeah.
The Patriots don't have an elite team; they have an elite defense, and that's it.
I hear you. I just think that, and I'm not a massive fan of Mac Jones. I still have a lot of questions with Mac. I just think that when you have a team coached by Bill Belichick, you're always going to compete. You're always going to be a team that nobody really wants to play. And like I said, we were a D-hop away from me believing we were going to win this division. I truly do believe that. So as long as we keep taking steps forward, and like I didn't bring this up to you, this offense is going to be very much like 2011. Not saying it's going to be, but it's going to be built like that. It's a 2 tight end set built around running the football and play action. You've got Hunter Henry, you've got Gesicki. That's what it's going to be built on. And you're going to have a bunch of rotating receivers out there. So it's going to be interesting to say. This is an interesting season for Mac Jones and the offense, because I just really want to see how much Bill O'Brien makes this offense better, because I do believe he does make it better, and I think he makes it cleaner, like I said. I just need to see how much he does.
Right, I agree. Final thought. This can be the 2011 Patriots, but swap out Tom Brady with Ryan Tannehill. And I think that is where I can't see it. I think Mac, and look, I'll admit it with Kenny Pickett too. He is a ready-made quarterback that nobody thought would be an elite player. And it seems like he's kind of like the Ryan Tannehill of an average, adequate starter and nothing more. And that is where I'm like, yeah, they can have the team of the 2011 Patriots, but they don't have Rob Gronkowski or Aaron Hernandez. And those weapons were far better than a Mike Gesicki and a Hunter Henry. So that's where I like the theory of it. But if it's you trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, in the case of Mac Jones being an upper echelon quarterback, I think Mac's like the 11th best quarterback at best in the AFC. If everything hits, and only 7 teams make the playoffs. So I'm like, the AFC has gotten a lot better, and you've gotten a lot worse because you lost the greatest.
Go.
So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It is 100% true. Obviously, when you go from Tom fucking Brady to, Cam and Mac Jones, it is what it is.
Even Wes Welker to Juju Smith-Schuster. Like Wes Welker in 2011, dude, he had 1,600 yards.
Yeah, no. I shouldn't say these guys are going to perform like those guys. I'm just saying it's going to look a lot like it's going to be 2 tight end set, and that's the formula. That's what I mean by that. They're obviously not going to put up the numbers that Gronk, Hernandez, Welker, and what Brady put up. But no. But that's what it's going to look like. That's what the offense will look like, in my opinion.
That's the theory of the offense.
Yes.
I don't think it's going to look like.
I mean, that's the dream of what but it's going to be a much more tempered, because it's Tom to Mac, it's Welker to Juju, it's Gronk and Hernandez to Gesicki and Henry. So obviously it's going to be less, but that's what
it's really incredible how well they built that team.
And that offensive line was all of them were above average players on that offense.
Right.
That was our best year with the offensive line, and the Giants' defensive line still whooped our ass in the Super Bowl. That's how great that Giants' defensive line was.
Yeah, it's up there. Like the Purple People Eaters, Steel Curtain, 85 Bears, one of the greatest. And I think it brutally beat a 13-win or 17-win team in the Super Bowl, 16. So we could wrap up the football topic with one question I have.
Cue it at me.
What is the surprise playoff team in 2023 in the NFL?
Surprise team.
This last year, we had the Jaguars and the Giants. A year ago in 2021, it was actually the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers, for that matter. Every single season in any sport, there is a new team.
Yes. I don't know if they're the surprise, but the Detroit Lions, I'm very high. I think the Detroit Lions win the NFC North this year. So I'll stamp my approval on that.
Okay. They've been hyped up a lot.
Yes.
What about a team in the
AFC? I think the Cleveland Browns are a real live player in the AFC.
Right.
These are the teams you don't want to hear. You want to hear like the Colts are about to take that jump.
No, I like the Colts, but we know they're a 6-win
Yeah,
team.
yeah. Well, I don't know if they get that far.
I do.
The Colts are not winning more games than the New England Patriots. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you'll be surprised.
You'll be surprised.
You don't know how good that running attack's going to be.
I know everything.
If you're an edge rusher, try stopping Anthony Richardson on a read option with Jonathan Taylor. Okay, eventually. Arguably the best running back in the league.
Arguably. Well, who's your soccer? I just gave you two. I gave you the Browns and the Detroit Lions. Both teams didn't make playoffs last year. I think the Lions win their division. I think the Browns are a very live player in that division. It's just kind of. I think the Bengals are the class of that division, in my opinion. They're going to be fighting with the Ravens. I think they both actually make the playoffs, to be honest with you. The Ravens.
You know what, Brandon? A lot of people like the Ravens. You like them too?
I'm interested. I'm very interested. No more excuses for Lamar Jackson. I like that.
No more injuries too?
Well, I mean, that could always happen. I'm just talking from a talent perspective, weapons perspective. There's no more excuses. You got the guys.
I think the two teams that are going to surprise everybody this season are the Carolina Panthers and the NFC winning that division. And in the AFC, one of the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Tennessee Titans. Each of the two teams has been overlooked because of their low ceiling, but is their floor good enough with their defense, coach, and offensive talent to make the playoffs? Pittsburgh has a dynamic, complementary group of weapons, a good offensive line, and a defense of TJ Watt that could be the best in the league. It has been for years. And then you look at the Panthers, right? Mm-hmm. Frank Reich comes in for a team that's not had any offensive consistency, and their defense has gotten better and better. J.C. Horn, Jeremy Chin, Brian Burns. They've upgraded against Shai Tuttle from the Saints, a run thumper, guys that can stop the run. In a division where the Falcons just want to run the ball and that's it. The Saints are going to have to run it because I don't think Derek Carr is the quarterback he was a year ago. That's going to be a very big theme for them. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, I think Baker, to be the best version of himself, has to run the football a lot. So if the Panthers can stop the run, they've got a dynamic group of running backs. Miles Sanders comes in. They've got good enough weapons. Adam Thielen, TJ Chark, if he can get back to that level he was once at. They even get Jonathan Kuminga, a very similar receiver to me of like a AJ Brown coming out of Ole Miss, just tools and speed, athleticism, size. So I think the Panthers this year are going to win 10 games. They're going to be the best team in that division. Falcons will be the second best. A lot of people are hyping up the Saints, probably because of the market they're in. Carolina's going to be the next team, which really does make people. Sorry, I made a second. It's actually not the Saints division anymore. They're back.
So I disagree with you there 100%. I actually made a TikTok, I think a week ago at this point, that I said Baker Mayfield is going to lead the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win that division and to the playoffs. And I'm standing on that 10 toes deep. I truly do. I think him with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin is going to be very dynamic. I think Rachaad White is going to be a sleeper that is going to break out this season because I really liked him last year, and he was just a really young player, really just getting kind of going at that point. Pretty sure they fired their offensive coordinator and hired a new one. I just have, you know how I feel. I have all the faith in Baker Mayfield, and I think that division is wide open. I hear you on that. I just think this division is so wide open that I've heard Atlanta Falcons are winning that division. They're standing on that. I'm hearing you now saying the Carolina Panthers, and I've heard it from other people. Panthers are winning that division. So I've heard people say the Saints are going to win that division. That's why I say this is wide open. I just think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to take that division because I have a lot of faith in Baker Mayfield, and I think Mike Evans is going to have another 1,000-yard season. I think Chris Godwin's going to help him out a lot, and I think they're going to be very effective.
Does coaching matter to you?
Coaching does matter.
It does?
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in Frank Reich. I don't think he's that great. I think he's good. Falcons head coach, unproven still too. And the Saints head coach, Dennis Allen, you know how I feel on Dennis Allen.
Every year Frank Reich has been a head coach, he's had one of the better running attacks in the NFL. Last year was a bit of a, I guess you could say, anomaly because of the injuries, and also terrible offensive line play.
Yeah.
He makes every offense he's been a part of one of the better rushing attacks in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, Baker Mayfield and the Panthers had CMC, DJ Moore, a good defense.
Wait.
And that team,
who was their head coach, John? Does coaching matter to you?
Todd Bowles, to me, is going to be fired by the end of the year.
Okay, but who was their head coach? No, I said the Panthers. Who was their head coach? You brought that up. Who was it? Where is he right now? Where is he right now? Yeah.
I don't think you recognize Todd Bowles as one of the worst coaches in football. And last year, he couldn't win 9 games with Tom Brady. So Tom Brady leaves, and now they're going to win as many, if not more, games with Baker Mayfield, the quarterback who
I never said that.
The right coaching.
I never
think
said
that's
that.
a little bit insane.
This division easily could be won by a team winning less than 9 games. Easily.
And it won't be, because the Panthers are a good team, and the Falcons are a well-coached team as well. Those are 2 teams that can quite easily win 9 games.
They can. That's why I said it was wide open at the beginning, but I do believe the Buccaneers are going to win that division. I have all the I think Baker Mayfield. Oh, okay. I shouldn't say that. Derek Carr is slightly better than him. He's more proven. But
Bryce Young's better than both of them.
No, he's not.
He will be better than both.
Okay. Well, you say will. He's not. He hasn't shown
it. He
was
a much better prospect than Baker Mayfield. Much better. And in his rookie year, guess what? He's going to have a really good head coach with a really good offensive line, unlike the Buccaneers, and a really good coach. The Panthers have a good offensive line. The Buccaneers don't. They just had to let go of Donovan Smith.
Well, he was terrible. That was a good decision. He was terrible, Donovan Smith.
And he was good 2 years ago. And just 2
years ago, he was good.
Yes, and last year they were a terrible offensive line because they didn't have a left tackle. And now, just to switch sides of the offensive line. So I'm sorry. No, the Buccaneers are not a good football team. They don't have an edge rush, a running game, or an offensive line. But Baker Mayfield's going to lead them to the playoffs. That's crazy.
Lead them to the playoffs. Yep.
The same way as going to lead the Panthers there last year.
I don't know why you think like this. It's not like this division is the AFC North or the AFC East or something. It's the NFC South. This is the weakest division in football.
Baker Mayfield was in the NFC South last year. He literally could not win more than a game.
With Matt Rule as his head coach, and the first 2 games were won on very questionable.
With a healthy Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and the same exact offensive line Bryce Young's about to shine with. So
yeah, but with Matt Rule, like you said, head coaching Matt Rule was absolutely god awful and terrible. He ruined everybody he touched.
The Panthers have the best quarterback in the division, and they also have, to me, the best offensive line and the best coach. So the floor for that team is pretty high.
I don't know about that. It's not like I'm disagreeing with you. Like I said, this division is wide open. I just believe in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield more.
All right. God bless you, man. Dude, I think by midseason, we're going to come back to this the same way it came back to the Panthers take. And like this team's a sinking ship, man.
Very easily could be. But like I've always said to you, I go down with my people. I'm ride or die. Straight up. Baker Mayfield.
I can respect it.
Hey. Let's ride.
Isn't that the Broncos saying?
Yeah, but I just felt it was appropriate.
So it's really going to be a disaster like the Broncos.
Nah, it's going to be good.
Tagline. Look, I'm wishing you luck. I'm rooting for Baker Mayfield, but I can't put any stock in this. I am so easily been against them succeeding. So we'll come back in a little bit, and we'll see how it performs, Brian.
See, week 1. Who do they play week 1? Hold on. I just want to see who they play week 1. Just quickly. I just want to see.
Probably a team in the division, like the Panthers or Falcons.
Oh, that would be great. Oh, no, they play the Vikings in Minnesota. Minnesota's favored by 6.5 right now. I'll be keeping an eye on that game.
Best of luck, man. I'm very shocked that you're in still, but
I'm in, baby. If this division was better, John, I wouldn't be in. This division sucks. You cannot debate that. This division sucks compared to every other division.
Yes, it's a bad division.
Okay. That's all I want to hear. That's all I wanted to hear.
With all that being said, they'll wrap up episode 118 of the Wise Guys podcast. Thank you for watching, staying to the very end. If you enjoyed, be sure to like and follow for more content. And as always, until next time.
Stay classy.